Okay, so we're live, and this is Thomas and Kyle, and this is a website. No, not website one. That's the wrong project. Okay, so it's a Digital Ventures and the bike share project meeting, and yes, we set this up yesterday, so we can go over some pivotal trackers stuff basically, and perhaps some other things if we have time and energy to do that. So let's go to screen share on my pod, perhaps.
All right.
And go to pivotal tracker. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. Are you an admin of this? I assume you are an admin of this pivotal tracker.
Yeah, I'm actually an admin with multiple email accounts.
All right. So, okay, this is not the right thing. Sorry. I can't go like this.
I can send you the link again if you want it.
No, I have it here.
Okay.
Yes, so I would like you to add me, actually, because I'm not added to this project. And the way to do that is just to type. If you go to the interface, I think it's enough to just write Thomas Hoffman.
Okay.
If you're not sure about how I spell my last name, it's like this, and Thomas with TH.
Okay.
So that will make me, be able to make comments and stuff, So.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. So yes, the first thing I would say in terms of this application that this project, I strongly feel that you guys should do a little more tests than you actually do already, and let me tell you why. I've noticed that there are already some migrations and models set up for users. I think yes. So there's a user model, a transaction model, and bike. This, even if these are just the beginning of some kind of embryos of what shall come later on. I strongly feel that it's good for you to start implementing some specs for this, basically,
Okay.
And because it's also a learning experience for you to actually, not only you, but of course, when I say you, I mean all the members of the team,
Sure.
to drive this the TDD way. So I would say that if you like, what we could do today, and I haven't done this in a long time, so we will probably have to do a lot of Googling or Stack Overflowing or stuff to set you guys up with RSpec as a testing framework, and
Sure.
And we can perhaps. So we could set RSpec up, and we could set up a few gems that makes your life easier in terms of testing relations and testing models. Because I agree, and I spoke to Sam this morning about, among other things, about you guys, and my recommendation to you would be to focus on acceptance tests, as you do, testing with Cucumber. But on the other hand, also go, very low into the stack and test units, and that is models. So unit tests are important. The other ones that we spoke of yesterday, like view specs or controller specs or request specs, these are not the most crucial tests for you guys to write. Although I also feel, at least with controller specs, that it's a good way to drive the development, in terms of the TDD approach. But it depends a little bit on how much resources and how much time you want to spend on this project. I can say that if you truly follow the TDD approach, then that leads to a rather slow development process. You have to write tests for everything, and you can feel that there's a lot of time that goes into that, and that could be perceived as a waste of time sometimes.
Okay.
Developers. So, but having said that, do whatever you feel produces the best quality code, of course, but I wouldn't compromise the acceptance tests are always important because we do everything for the user. So out of a user's perspective, it's always good to have as many tests as possible, and also on the low level with unit tests. So, but we can have a look at that in a while.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, in terms of the stories, I noticed. Again, this is not a criticism. It's just how I work basically. I am very strict personally on my own part to write. Always attach a user story to each feature.
Okay.
Because if you are into this project now, so you know the bits and pieces of everything basically. But if you were an external stakeholder or somebody that is non-technical, just comes in and starts to read up on the project, right? So you have a how it works page, a story, for instance, and a description. Just port content from the bike share tab. That doesn't really mean anything to somebody that is not that is new to the project, right? So it's good that it's there, but you could elaborate on that a little bit, but usually you still want to you want to have a description on why is this how it works page interesting and what purpose does it serve, for a user or for another stakeholder. I always prefer to use to write user stories out of a user perspective. So I would say in this case, as a user, in order to understand the application better or understand the process of renting a bike, I would like to see how it works page. That's a fairly good user story, that I just kind of came up with. But each user story needs to be the ultimate format is of course very measurable and time boxed and so, but it's always better to have a vague user story than don't have it at all, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I would say that if I would give you any strong advice, that is something that you should take up with your team and try to implement. That when somebody writes up a user story, writes up a feature request, they should always attach a user story to that.
All right.
Yeah, because also if we have if we take another example in your Icebox, or let's have a look into the backlog, the redirect login page.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a fairly it's a good title, I think, but it leaves it creates more a lot of questions. Redirect
Sure.
from where? You know what I mean? It's like it says here, redirect a pre-existing user to the login page when he does what? What is he supposed to do in order to become redirected? So here the user story must be very precise. When a pre-existing user, as a site administrator, when a pre-existing user enters the site, he should be redirected to a login page, and also why, in order to, I don't know, why is he supposed to be redirected, by the way?
I think my thought on that was just that they don't have to view the same information that they've already read like a million times before every single time they try and log in.
All right, interesting. Okay, and this is a good example to the necessity of discussing stories with a broader public kind of thing, because when you say pre-existing, you mean a user that is already has already signed up for the site and visited at least once before, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you want to do is you want to store some sort of a session cookie or something, or so you can tell when or when he how he accessed the site or something on his local browser, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but my question would be then, is all the information that you guys have on the bike shop page, the resources, the web, the how it works and everything, is that information 100% static, or will it be changed sometimes?
The only thing that would really ever change, as far as what I've seen, is like the hours of the shop and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or at least for next semester, that would change.
Okay. Is that information, this sort of information that would, that existing users should know about?
It is, yeah, I suppose it is.
So they shouldn't be. I mean, so they should be redirected, but there are corner cases when they shouldn't. One could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's interesting. If we think about that, so I say that it's a good idea to when they enter the URL, they just so we check for a cookie or something, and all right, so this is an existing member. Let's just log him in as soon as possible. So just redirect him to the login page, unless. So there must be an exception to this, unless there is something that we need him to know, like a news update or a change to some of some kind of the hours, as you said. Perhaps there are some changes in terms and conditions on how to use those bikes, etc., etc. There could be corner cases where you actually have to communicate with an existing member. So this is something that needs to be taken into consideration when you actually do that. With this redirection, right?
Right.
But even here, try to formulate a user story. I just wanted to mention those exceptions, for you to think about. But in this purest case of just plain redirection without any exceptions, how would you formulate a user story?
Well, let's see. As an admin, to allow users to log in to the application faster, I want them to be able to be redirected to the login page.
Okay, write that up. It's a good one.
All right. Let's do that.
Yes, and there's it's a good enough user story, and of course you guys can discuss that in the group, So if somebody has any other suggestions, then they can update that. And the interesting thing here is that this is written out of the admin's perspective, right? The same story could go from a user's perspective, saying, as a registered user, to avoid, being exposed to the same information that I've already, read. I want to be taken to a login page when I enter the site. Something like that. And it's the same thing, but it's written from a different perspective. And I just wanted to show you that, so that almost every feature can be looked upon from the user's perspective, or the admin's perspective, or the site owner's perspective, or what have you. You know what I mean? So because the same thing can have different values for different stakeholders. So yeah. So yeah, I see that you added this activity about the updated information. Good for you. But when we talk about users, we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. How do you want to authenticate and authorize users to do things?
I think what we were thinking was the user would have their student ID card, and there's a number attached to that that's unique for every student and faculty member.
Good.
And when they register, they're going to punch that number in,
and
it'll be registered in our database. And then eventually, this application is going to be integrated with a like physical automatic bike rack
Mm-hmm.
where they'll be able to take that card and then like go up and scan it using like an RFID scanner or something.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
But until that point, I think we were just going to have them like punch the number in or something when they log in.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And again, as I asked yesterday, do you want to code this from scratch, or as your one of your team members mentioned something about doing this in the database with some SQL mechanisms, or do you want to use Ruby and the Rails framework to authenticate them?
From the research I've done, I feel like the Ruby and Rails stuff would be a lot easier to implement.
Yes, it would. Absolutely.
So probably that, at least for my part, being that I'm most likely going to be the one coding that.
Mm. All right. So, and another question because authentication is one thing. That's just getting to know who you're dealing with. But do you also plan to, or have you thought about this, that you will have different features in the application that certain users will be able to use and other users won't be able to access, like so authorize users to use certain parts of the application, like an admin, for instance, an administrator can do basically everything in that app, right?
Right.
While there could be some staff members that I'm just thinking out loud here. There's some staff members that are dealing with those bikes, and they should do certain things, but not everything that an admin can do. And also the regular users, the bike, people that actually rents those bikes, they were able to see the bikes and rent them, but they're not able to update info about them or do some maintenance on them, etc., etc. You're following my thinking here?
Actually, you're describing exactly how I was thinking about doing that.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. Cool. There you go. So you need some sort of an authorization system as well, right?
Right.
Apart from just authenticating there are. I mentioned it briefly yesterday. There is this wonderful gem that is also almost a de facto standard in the Rails community for user authentication, and that's device. And I can show you the link to that. So
sure.
Gem. Now, this is a very powerful gem. I've used it on many Agile Ventures projects, but I also use that professionally. And the way I use it in my work is somewhat similar to what you were describing about the physical. About the fact that each of your students have already a unique ID on campus, on the student ID card, and also they can swipe the card later on and stuff. Because what I'm doing professionally is I'm building a payment gateway for Visa and Mastercard and etc. transactions.
Okay.
And we are also identifying our users on different levels. The payers, the merchant agents, and admins, and they have some unique identifiers previously from before. So the device can be configured to take that into account. In this purest form, it's easy to set up, and you sign up with your email and a password, and it generates a hash and stores the password encrypted in the database. And basically, what it does, it just you are logging in, it just compares your stored email with that hashed password, and lets you in. But you can, as a developer, overwrite most of this functionality, and it's the more you want to do with the device, the more complicated it gets, of course. But it gives you much for free. So I would definitely suggest that this is something that you can look into and use in your project. And the other one I was thinking about is the can gem, and that's for authorization user to do certain things. in the application. So what you can do, you can create a I think it's called abilities.rb file, where you set up, what different profiles of users and what they can and cannot do on a model level and controller level. So he can view index of bikes, and he can view each and individual bike, but he cannot access the maintenance methods or what have you for different that are restricted for people that work in this cloud, etc. So you can have a look at that. This is quite complicated, Jim, but there are some good Rails casts about it. Let's see. Yeah. This one, I can send you a link. It's a few years old, but you get the idea about this gem by watching this. So yeah, do research that. These are the most popular ones, and most these are the two gems that give you a lot of functionality for free, kind of, just by using it, and there's a lot of methods that comes with it that you can use. There are other authentication and authorization gems for Rails, but I would within the Agile Ventures community, we have most experience with these two. So if you start using them and you need some help, you can always reach out to our members, and they can help you with this, basically. So
that's great.
Yes,
that's perfect. Because I have been putting a lot of thought into like how I was gonna implement this sort of a thing, and these definitely seem to be the way to do it.
And it's really simple. And start with the device gem, because that's, and you get the, if you have a look at the, I can show you just in website 1. You don't get that out of the box, but you have to run a rake task. But what you do get, if you want, is all the views for device. So, for instance, the logging in.
Nice.
The logging in of a user is done on the sessions. So when you create a new session, you get this, you get this one. Of course, you can get it in Haml. Of course, it's not a. It copies the file. It uses whatever format you're using in your project. So you get all this for free. And there are some, if you're using Bootstrap as your CSS framework, you can get that. There's a lot of documentation about it. And if you want your users to be able to, of course, this is the registration views. You have to when you create a new registration for the site, etc., etc. And you can also set device to be confirmable. So when a user signs up, he is not able to access the site until he confirms his email. So you send out an email to him. He has to click a link to confirm the email, and once he does that, then he is authorized to enter the site, if that's an option for you. And you have a set of templates for the emails you send out. For instance, this comes also out of the box. We're not using them, so that's why they are just generic. But you can also you can of course modify this, and etc., etc. So there's a lot of stuff, and tons of documentation on the internet, and Stack Overflow. A lot of people have used this gem for a long time, so there's a lot of questions and stuff and answers. So you can get a lot of info for free. So we're not using CanCan in this project, but it's also a very popular gem. So I know it. A lot of Agile Ventures people know it. So if you run into some issues, ask us or ask a question on Stack Overflow, and you will get an answer very fast. So by the way, just a friendly tips: use Stack Overflow as much as possible. It's I there's an etiquette thing, the ways to behave on Stack Overflow,
Yeah.
So you don't want to ask stupid questions because you get downvoted instantly. So
Right.
I actually personally I don't ask a lot of questions because I've noticed that whenever I start to write up a question, I don't want to ask the questions in a stupid way. So I think a lot about the way I ask the question, and usually I come up with an answer for it myself during the process of writing the question. It happened to me like 3 or 4 times the last few months. So I'm very glad that this Stack Overflow exists because I get a lot of info from there, but also just by starting to ask a question, I kind of my internal process is I sharpen up and I come up with a solution. So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
So, but use Stack Overflow. It's great. It's a really great resource. Cool.
Yeah. Actually, Stack Overflow is awesome. I've been on here a couple times before for different things, but I'll definitely start using it more.
Cool. And be generous. So whenever somebody answers your question, try to upvote their answer and stuff. Because it means a lot to people actually. They
Okay.
like that,
Sure.
So yes, that's just beside the point basically, but it's a good thing. So. Anyways, so back to the pivotal tracker. Definitely go over most of your stories and add those user stories. It's very important. Okay. So email form. Let's have a look at the. Tell me about the process of assessing the stories. How do you came up with those 2 points or 3 points and stuff?
That's kind of just like. Well, the nice thing is we were all local working on this, so I would just go to them and ask them like, "This is what needs to be done," and I'd show them the story, and then they would tell me how long they think it would take, and generally it's kind of like 1 point is like an hour or so.
All right, that's fair enough. If I would suggest that have you seen us vote on stories in any Scrum or something?
I haven't yet.
No, okay. So what we do in remote sessions like this, like you and I, we would talk about this story. Let's say we are 3 or 4 people in a hangout, in a Scrum. We talk about it. Okay, this needs to be done. This is the user story. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's vote. Everybody's clear on the the complexity of a task of a feature. So what we do is that we then go to our chat window, and I turn it off so nobody can see what I'm typing, and we don't see each other's values, and we type in 1, 2, or 3, and then on the count of 3 of the Scrum Master, we just hit enter and reveal our thoughts about the story. So we're not biased by each other. Okay, and then sometimes people are saying 1 point, and some other team member says 3, right? So that says something to me as a project leader, that there's a discrepancy in terms of how people perceive this particular story. One says that it's a very uncomplicated story, while another one would say it's a 3-point story. Well, that means to me that we need to discuss this further, so everybody's on the same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And basically, what we do is like 1-point stories are easy stories, which often involve just a minor, refactoring of a method or some front-end stuff. Basically, doesn't involve much testing. Perhaps just adding an it block to a RSpec test or something. Basically, a minor thing. 2-point story often involves writing more code, but also writing more tests. So as soon as you feel that yes, I have to create a new spec, I have to test this extensively, etc., then it's automatically a two-point story for me. 3-point stories are stories that require a lot of testing. There are several methods that needs to be created, or a new model, new migration. So there will be tests written both in acceptance, on acceptance level, and also on a unit level. So that would say that to make it a 3-point story for me. And also, if I'm calling an external API or using some external resources, then of course that automatically makes it a 3-point for me, because that needs to be tested thoroughly before you push that sort of code into production. And if you deem that a story is a 4 or 5-point story, after discussing it, so that there are several models or several controllers that needs to be created, and a lot of views on the presentation layer, then what you have to do is to split it out into separate stories, because you only go up to 3 points, right? So right. That is also best done in discussion, because when I sit by myself and come up with a feature request, I can just write it down and I can think about it for a while. But it's in a discussion, in collaboration with others, where you can see some flaws in your own logic, you can get some new input from people, etc., right? And also they come up with, oh, well, if we do this, we can also do another thing, add another feature to it, or another way of using certain information. And that's when you get synergy effect, and one story become 2 stories and 3 stories, and they're all chained together, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's why we advocate for doing as much as possible in groups and talk about it. That's what I meant yesterday about communication. Talking about ideas with others automatically makes those ideas better. Because you get input from other people, you get their perspective on stuff, etc. So, and especially in this case, when you work with software development in this method, is that if you start start talking about this, for instance, this authentication system, you might, when you take this up with your group, people can say, yeah, student IDs is a good thing, but what if people would like to make this, have an even easier login system? Perhaps they want to use their Instagram account or Twitter accounts, or some other external authorization service. Like for instance, in website 1, we're using GitHub and Google Plus to log people in, right? It's just one-click login. It's a good service, I use it personally. I never have to type in my username into website 1. So this is something that potentially could lead to another story, because to implement this sort of login system is a story in itself, so that's and also since it's an external service, automatically a 3-pointer basically, etc. So to talk about stuff as much as possible. I see a good thing here. You have this email form on Contact Us page, and you see add CAPTCHA security features. These 2 stories seem to go hand in hand a little bit, or at least overlap each other a little. But it's for me personally, from what I see, it's a good thing that they are split into 2, because setting up an email form on a Contact Us page is one story, because it needs to be tested, etc. But then you don't want to be overwhelmed by spam, so you need some sort of a CAPTCHA security feature. Although it's not in any way. You have to understand that CAPTCHA doesn't save you from spammers, but
right.
Because there are bots that bypass CAPTCHA very easily. I can send you some other day. I can tell you a little bit about another solution that we implemented in website 1 that actually seems to work right now, but it's another discussion.
Sure.
So, but again, even here, there must be a user story. Why is this feature? What sort of business value, does this feature deliver? It might be very easy to understand. Well, of course, people need to contact us, but it's even the most simplest things needs to be the most obvious things need to be put down on paper. So definitely attach a user story to this, and definitely attach a user story to. Oh, you did that. Good, as an episode.
Yeah, there were some of them that I was doing it for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I went and with the bike share like a couple months ago, I went and had a meeting with like them
Mm-hmm.
and asked them what they wanted in this application,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave me a really nice set of note cards that I turned into user stories.
Good, great.
So,
It seems like a good client.
yeah. Oh no, I put them in a room for 4 hours and told them you need to do this.
All right, that's cool. You seem like a very confident person. Cool. Have you got a commitment from them in terms, when you start to actually do coding and enter your first sprint, etc. So will you have them available to do client meetings or something like that, or a sprint?
Yeah, actually, there's at least 3 people that I know that are available all winter break for that.
Good. That's cool. But this is a project that will probably go on for a while, since it's rather complicated. So you can't. I mean, especially when you say that there are some hardware people working on their, on their parts, and you want to eventually integrate all that. It seems like a rather big project, actually, to me.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's funny because I'm the client for the hardware team. I'm their client.
Okay. Yeah, because you were involved in this bike share club, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That puts you in a rather awkward position, and try to understand it, because sometimes you're going to wear a hat of a client, and sometimes you're going to wear the hat of the developer or project leader, and these two hats are not always compatible. But I think you manage. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. For instance, I have the same situation with the Website 1 project, because I am the project leader for that, but I am also one of the people behind this community. So I am the client. So I very often come up with my own feature requests and talk to myself like in third person, basically.
Yeah.
So one has to be careful sometimes. But okay, yeah, the terms and condition page is very. So are you hard coding all these pages? Like these are just pure HTML files, or?
I know at least for the terms and conditions page, that's already written up somewhere because currently users of the bike share have to like sign a paper form that has all that on it. So I think I was just gonna kind of take that file and put it on the website somehow.
Okay, cool.
Which is somewhere.
Layouts, welcome. Okay, so you have the welcome. Is that handled by some controller, or?
There is a welcome controller.
Okay, there you go.
Which currently doesn't really have much in it, since all the pages are static.
Okay. Well, all right. There. Okay, and okay. So how does the routes look like? Let me see. Config. Routes. Oh yes. Okay. So you have welcome bikeshop info method. Okay, that's cool. After all, you might want to remove all these comments later. That comes. These comments comes with the file when it's generated. Well,
okay.
That after a while, but it doesn't matter. Yes, this way of calling routes is rather, it's good, it works, but after a while, when your routes file grows, and it will grow because you will have a lot of different methods, different resources. That's a little. This is basically hard coding stuff, So there are better ways to do that, but this is just a refactoring issue. I can give you some pointers on that later. It's not a big thing, but you want to keep this file as clean as possible, basically. Cool. All right. Yes. Okay. Well, I would say, when are you? If I would. So you won't be having any meetings with your, or at least not any formal ones.
I mean, I plan on having like remote meetings at least twice a week
Yeah.
over the break, to try and bring in some of the remote people that were looking to work on this project.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of, or at least most of my team said they were going to stay on and keep working on the project. So.
Okay. What is Mario Kart mode? I'm sorry. What is that?
That was a feature that one of my team members came up with. He thought he kind of wanted to just make it so that all of the CSS on everything changes and it just like looks different when you click a button or something.
Okay.
He just thought it was a cool feature, so he threw it in there.
All right, cool. Yes, I would say. Oh, Michael is here, I think. Hi, Michael. Nice
Hello,
to see you
I thought it was
again.
supposed to be at 21 UTC.
It was.
It's 21 UTC right now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's my fault because I'm tired today. So you're right, Michael. I'm sorry, but we're still here.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I started 1 hour earlier, and I thought you were late, actually. Yes. Okay. Yes, that happens sometimes. So anyway, Michael, we were just going over some stuff, and I told Kyle a little bit about device. I told him about can for authorization of users. We spoke a little bit about the user stories that needs to be attached or should be attached to every feature request. We spoke a little bit about voting and estimating stories, right, Kyle?
Yep.
And I was just about to, make a pitch about Bootstrap as a CSS framework. I don't know. Have you given the front end any thought in terms of what framework to use?
Actually, we are using Bootstrap.
Oh, you are? Good. Okay.
Yeah. Because I have a previous experience with Bootstrap, so I figured I would, continue that since it's easier just to use that.
Yes. And I assume that your target audience are very mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to, from the beginning of this project, think about how your views are rendered on mobile devices. I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's a good thing, and that's also a good reason to create some sort of a very fast login system. Because when people are accessing a site over an iPhone or an Android phone or what have you, they don't want to be forced to punch in too many numbers and passwords and stuff. So if there is whether we're talking about Facebook authentication or we can do, is there any codes like this? What is it called? This Q code? Is it called that?
QR codes?
Yes, QR codes on those student cards.
There's barcodes. I was actually looking into that, and I was coordinating with the administration because I don't know if that barcode is the same number or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually trying to figure that out. I think that would be one of our stories.
Oh, yeah. Okay, because that would be really good, because then you could use that to log people in also, and that would speed up the process. It could be a cool feature to work on, actually.
Yeah, actually, here it is right here. It's one of our stories. We have the sign out with barcode. I think that was one of the things that the bike share specifically wanted. They wanted some sort of a quick verification mechanism like that.
Okay. That's cool. Well, it's a challenge, but I think it's doable. So yeah, cool. But I would say, from what I see now, I would say go over everything, all the stories in the icebox, and and add as many users to them as possible. I would say that the hard code of admin account could basically go. Any reason to hard code that?
Actually, I don't think there was a specific reason. I think we just kind of threw that in there as like to have a test admin account because we don't have any of the data yet.
Yeah, I would say that whenever you create, if you implement a device gem, I would say that in your seeds file you can see an admin automatically.
Oh, okay.
For your development environment, and then whenever you go to production, you just set up an admin account. Also by the console or what have you, but of course you can't use the same one as you seeded on the dev.
Right.
But yeah. So I would say that just you could change that to instead of hard code, seed an admin account in the seeds file, basically.
Okay.
But then in your model, you have to have some sort of a flag on the user model that this user is an admin, basically. So you have to make modifications to that. Yes, in that you have to add a column in the database, basically.
Okay.
Yes. Or if you can have a column called type of user, and that type could be admin or user, regular user, for instance. Or if you have some administrative personnel, you can create another type. That's the simple way to do it. I see we have David with us as well. Welcome. Are you a part of the BikeShare group?
He is. He's one of mine.
All right. Okay. He's muted. No, he's not muted.
I think he's
not
having trouble with his computer.
Cool. Yes. Michael, what else do you have time to stick around with us, and we can go over the stories that Kyle has in his icebox?
Sure.
What would you suggest is important at the early stage? We were talking about the testing framework, and I suggested that perhaps we could do a little bit of pair programming and set this project up with RSpec. If you have time to do that with us, that would be great.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, so perhaps we should move over to that or something. I don't know, Kyle. What do you feel?
I like the sound of that. Let's try that.
All right. Let's see. I think I have this project pulled down already someplace.
You have Teammate?
I have Teammate, yes.
I don't know.
I have TeamViewer. No, Teammate. No, I don't have Teammate. No.
Oh, you don't?
No, unfortunately.
It's pretty easy to get if you wanted it, but it basically allows people to SSH into your terminal. And from there, they can use like Vi or Emacs or whatever old school editor they want.
I know. I'm so afraid of this Vim and stuff. I'm not that old school. But, if you want, I can learn, I guess. Let's see. Origin. So what is Origin? Let me just see. So we're just gonna get game. I'm just gonna set me up here with. Yes, the upstream is the Agile Ventures hub.
Yeah, I think that's the one we were using.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I mean, mine has the most recent stuff in it, I think, but I would definitely use that one.
And okay. Okay, so you have a all right. So you have a master branch, and then you have some feature branches here.
Correct.
Okay. Michael, before we go over to Teammate, I'm just gonna give Kyle some pointers about branches on the master repository. I would say the way we set projects up, I think local support is set up the same way. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Michael. But what we do basically, we have 3 branches in this master repository kind of thing, you know, and that is the develop branch, the staging branch, and a master branch. And what we do is every developer branches off the develop branch and works in his own, you know, repository, you know, in his own instance of this application, on his own fork of this repo. Then when he creates a pull request, he creates that pull request to the develop branch. And you as a project leader, you know, you review the pull request and you merge it into the develop, from developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, and so on, so on. Then whenever you feel ready, you gather all this stuff from the, you know, from the develop branch and create a pull request to the staging branch. You know, when you have a look at it again, deploy it to a staging server. You have already deployed it to the development server, you know, from the develop branch. Then you deploy that to a staging server from your staging branch. And then whenever you deem that everything is okay, everything works, the tests are green, and you feel confident that this code is ready to go into production, then you go ahead and merge it into the master branch and deploy it to your production server.
Well, you show it to your client from the staging server usually. Yes,
of course. That's another thing. Absolutely. Okay. The demonstration to the client on your client meeting, or your, you know, if it's bi-weekly or weekly or once a month. That depends, of course, on your project's workflow. But when you demonstrate, you show it on the staging server, because you want to have his feedback on the features before you go into productions. Because, you know, if he has some objections, or he doesn't accept the stories, he wants something else added, you know, then you developers tell them to work to implement some changes. Redeploy those changes to the staging server and show it to your client again, get an acceptance, and then your code is mature enough to go into production. You know, so what you want to do, you want to avoid. It's not a big thing, but you want to avoid to have many you know, feature branches on this, you know, main repository. So I would say that you just want basically those 3, unless there's a really good reason why you should have another one. You know, that's at least a working model, that a model that has worked out fine for us in Agile Ventures before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just have to go through and clean up some of these branches, I guess.
Yeah, sure, that's easily done, so there's no problem. But what I will do now is I'm just going to do a git pull, because I understand that it's the master branch that has the latest code, right?
Yes.
Okay, so upstream master. Okay. That was a lot of changes since I was here last time.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff in like 2 days.
Oh, perhaps I should have run bundle before and migrate. Did you make any? Oh yeah, that's not.
Yeah, there was a couple of different changes that we made, I think.
Looks like they're using unit test or whatever.
I believe that's. I think that's how we were setting it up.
This is there, I think. I think they are just generated.
Oh, just scaffold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yes, there's nothing. Okay, I'm just bundling up here. Yeah, so how do I install Teammate? What do I have to do?
Let me look. You have Homebrew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from Teammate's homepage, it says brew update. Of course, you do that anyway. Brew tap. Let me just paste it in the chat. There.
Okay, so update takes some time. This first, the brew update is like RVM get. You always try to do RVM get stable, right? Yeah, when you install a new version of Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Oh. Yes. Where are these files located? Git pull origins. Oh. Do you know anything about this, Mike? Because
What?
I'm getting an error here that my local changes to to an image magic RB should be overwritten by a merge when I did the brew update. And he wants me to commit something. And I know that I installed image magic for a work project that I have on this machine.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
No, perhaps we shouldn't be bothered with this right now because I can't really touch these files because of the fact that I need it for work. So I don't want to mess anything up. Since I'm not that familiar with Homebrew actually, and so perhaps we just let it be here, and we can pong this code over, basically if we need to do some update.
Okay.
So great. And yes, what? See, I can open it. Uh-huh.
Do you have the elephant program running?
Once again?
Do you have the elephant program running?
Yeah.
So if Do you have to do rake db create? Oh, it looks like you're running that already.
Yeah. He didn't want to migrate. Yeah. I
try running rake create. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
We ran into a bunch of problems with that.
Yeah, it's rather slow here, but. My iMac has served me well for over a year and a half, but I got myself MacBook Pro just a few weeks back. You recently bought a new computer, didn't you, Michael?
Yeah, I have a MacBook Pro.
That set me back a little bit financially, but it's worth it. Yeah, so let's see Cucumber. Projects. Do. Oh, add files to Git. Now we don't want to add those files to Git. We want to add them to Git ignore. So yes.
So how do you assert anything in your Cucumber? I mean, what is your assertion framework?
I don't know. I'm not very familiar with testing right now. So we've kind of just been this, as far as I know, all this tests is if that text is on the page.
Okay. I should see. Oh, okay, you're just using. I think those are built-in steps.
Yeah, the web steps.
So you guys haven't started writing your own steps?
Not yet, no. I don't think any of us were familiar enough to write our own steps yet. We were gonna work on that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's focus on the RSpec. So, Kyle, what time is it at your place now?
Right now, it is 4:23.
Okay. All right. Good. So even if we started earlier, we are at the right time, I guess, right?
Yeah, we are well into the time that
we're
supposed to be on.
All right. So what
So you go into their.
I can basically copy the whole thing here. Settings local guard file. No, we don't have that.
Do you guys have a license yet?
No, we do not.
You
What?
don't have a license yet.
For what?
For their project.
Ah, okay. So yeah, yes, and just, okay, so okay, let's install RSpec. I guess that RSpec gem. Now, Kyle, we spoke about this yesterday. Are you confident enough to use the latest RSpec, or do you want to use something pre 3.0?
I think probably using the newest version would be best, just because I'm gonna have to learn it eventually. So I would say now is a good time.
Well, we could install 299, I think.
It's kind of call, whatever you feel like. I mean, they haven't written any specs yet, so.
We can install 2.99 though, and what it'll do is, when you guys write RSpec, like you'll be able to write RSpec 2, like that you learned in class, but it'll give you deprecation warnings to tell you all the things that have changed, but it won't make the tests fail. And the idea is that if you go and fix those deprecation warnings, you'll learn like some of the ropes for RSpec 3, basically.
That actually sounds like a great idea.
All right.
So I think 299 is the way to go.
Here. So stick to pre-3.x version.
Well, you're going to want Rails, right? I mean RSpec Rails?
Yeah.
See what version.
Yeah.
Let's see what version this. If I go to Ruby Gems, I think they have a 299 too. Yeah, 299.0.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, so it's just.
And that relies on RSpec Core 299.0. Yeah.
Yeah. So I include both of them, of course, right?
You don't have to. Just include RSpec Rails. It'll automatically give you RSpec.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we actually directly have RSpec in our gem file in local support because RSpec Rails includes it as dependency.
Let me just check website 1. It's been a really long time. This is nothing you do every.
RSpec Rails will give you basically all the controller, like the material to do view tests and view specs and controller specs, request specs.
But actually, for some reason, we have both RSpec and RSpec Rails, which is rather strange.
Okay.
Huh. And look. Oh gosh. Okay.
It looks
so
like you're.
Yeah, we're locking down below version 3. That's what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we did this update before 2.99 was released. So we just wanted to make sure that. Yes. Anyway. Right. So what we need to do now is to just generate those stuff. Yes, there you go. Just reaching. Okay. So what he will do is to create the .rspec file and spec helper erase that.
So you're just running the generator for RSpec Rails.
Now, pre 3.0, he was using the spec helper file, right? And
yeah.
Now it's called Rails helper, rather.
Yeah, I think it's called Rails, but you still actually have the spec helper too, for like testing services and things that don't necessarily require the whole Rails stack.
Okay. So another thing we should do is to get rid of the. Do you know how to do that? To get rid of whenever he generates, whenever he uses a generator to create a model, or something, the unit test, the test file will be created for them. But
I think there's an option actually on the command line not to generate the tests, isn't there?
There is, but I thought you knew something about a setting in the. If there's a setting someplace we could use to skip that, or
That I don't know.
No, okay. All right. So let me just commit this. Git commit. Commit. Let's see. That push. Oh, am I on master? Oh, okay. Okay. So.
Hello?
Now in Chore, write up a chore
Hello.
for installing, adding
I think
RSpec
David said something.
to the.
Hey, I managed to get my microphone working.
All right,
Thank you,
wonderful.
Anna.
Yeah, well, I had it working earlier. I just didn't have anything to contribute to the conversation at the moment.
Oh.
But I do have a question if anybody has just an instance. Kyle, how did you set up the paths for different pages? I'm trying to configure the map bar to link to the page together.
We actually spoke about that before. The way it's set up now is it's pretty much hard-coded.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Thomas were eventually going to try and figure out a way to get around that, I think.
Oh.
The routes for each page that exists in the site right now.
Yeah.
There are different, but I shouldn't make that a priority right now. It's not that it's not a bad solution in any way right now, but there are better ways to do that later on. But I guess you have other stuff to worry about. It's there and it's working, so I think it's a cool thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just about to ask you if you just could create a chore for me, add RSpec to project in Pivotal Tracker.
Sure. Yeah, I think I actually made you an admin. You should have admin access now.
Okay.
But yeah, I can do that.
Because what I like to do is I always like to. This is the way I do pull requests. If there is a Pivotal Tracker story or chore or bug or something, I always.
Thomas, can we run the RSpec to make sure that it actually works?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, thanks.
You could add a.
Yeah, I can just see if whatever it what it returns to me first.
Yeah. Actually, I think for some way in local support, when you scaffold something, like if you scaffold a resource, it was giving us controller specs, not tests, like actual specs.
Yeah, it does. But I thought, and it does that in website 1 too. But I thought it was a setting someplace that we needed to set.
I'm not sure. I'd have to find
I
out.
was thinking, what I can do, I can do something, create something and just stash it after that, just to make sure that.
Why are your tests so slow? Like they just came back saying.
Don't know.
But I could do raise mode, test.
Is this your iMac or your Mac?
It's my iMac. It's my iMac. It's my old iMac. Test.
Wow, and it's that slow?
Yeah, unfortunately. But I haven't, I haven't rebooted this in a few months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is there a reason you don't reboot it?
I'm just lazy, basically. I'm way too tired at night, and then I'm in a hurry in the morning. So that's basically it.
Wasn't there like a button that you press and turns it off?
Yeah, well, that actually doesn't reboot the thing. So look, here's the problem. You see, it didn't. It invoked the test unit.
Yeah, that is a.
And it creates fixtures and shit, So okay, let's just do git stash. Huh? Oh, I hate when this happens. I thought git stash could get rid of all this. Michael, what's up? What's that?
What?
I thought that when I do git stash, status git stash, and I'm starting to get tired. It's no, it didn't work.
Probably because they're untracked.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I just did a quick search, and it looks like you need to make them tracked first.
Okay. So, what we need to do probably. Did you create that chart for me, by the way?
Yeah.
There
Sure.
you
So
go.
some responses on Stack Overflow say you need to add a certain configuration inside config application RB.
Yes. Kai, I'm still not added as an pivotal tracker, or am I?
I thought you were. Maybe try reloading the page.
I did.
Let me share this.
Oh.
They're saying if you.
It might have sent you an email confirmation. Check that.
Oh, yeah, really. Yes. Hold on. Perhaps I can open that on my phone.
Thomas, if you look at the chat.
Yeah. So
Try that in application RB, config application RB. See if that does anything for you.
In application RB, really?
Mm-hmm.
Here inside this block, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I would say, but okay. I thought that this was supposed to go into the spec helper someplace. It looks like it, well, because we're not configuring anything here,
No, we're configuring. I don't know. Try it just see if it works. But
all right.
Yeah, let me go look at local supports too.
You want me to regenerate those?
Sure, try it. See what it does. That's not in our local support file, so what if I do?
Well, actually, it worked.
It worked.
Yes,
So
it did. Good work. Good catch.
we're doing it somehow else in local support. I don't know how.
Yeah, I think we also configured that in
Website 1.
again, website one in the spec helper, actually, because we use still, I think in order to use, let me just, well, you had it as a story owner. Okay. Add aspect, okay, well, let's see, pivotal tracker. Here you are. Join the project. Yes, here we are. Join the project. Yes, sir. Okay, so what are you saying? Should I? No, I don't want to add this. Okay, so
you want to add the config.
Yeah, so I'm just going to manually remove this again. This one can go, actually. I'm just going to, yeah, I can actually just test spec this. What? Yeah, so I'm just going to do that.
You told it to add a model, right? Basically.
Yeah.
So just get rid of all the...
Yeah. Well, I can keep that. It doesn't really matter. So. But okay, so... yeah.
You got to add the config. Stage it. You know, if you just do git commit, it'll open up your favorite.
I don't have a favorite.
Your favorite old school editor, and you'll be able to create multi-line.
Well, you would hate me if you saw what I have for as pre-configured as a Git editor. I actually use TextMate for that. I'm not that. I'm not that hardcore. I'm a soft guy. It's just to use RSpec as testing for that. And yes, so let's go back to the bike share application, and I still cannot edit things, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
Hold on, let me just reload again. I know I got the email and everything, so. Tio.
It's really strange.
Oh, no, it's not strange at all, actually.
Okay.
Because you sent that off to... I'm logged in over Google, so could I... Yeah, let's see my profile here. I think I'm having... Yeah.
Did I send you the wrong one?
Yeah, you sent to the wrong one, so I'm just going to paste you a link.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add that one.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, anyways.
There you go.
What are we? There we are. Okay. So what I usually do when I do pull requests, this is keep it as small as possible. You see the two commits here, and just include a link to the pivotal tracker story.
All right.
And then just write in bullet points, just a very simple description, of what you've done, and yeah, so nothing fancy. If you do something else that involves a lot of user interface changes, like new CSS framework or whatever, then you can have some screenshots included here, or you can deploy to a separate instance of Heroku, and
Okay.
just basically so people can see that, and you can include a link to that or something. But this is a very simple one, so I'm just going to create that pull request now, and you can merge it if you like. We should do. So yes, that would be, and yeah, I usually also take this link to the pull request and copy that and go to the pivotal tracker and
Put it there.
yes.
Okay.
As a comment, so you kind of have that cross-referenced. Yeah, so PR, so pull request, and something like that, buff. And of course, I should have started it before, so start, and I finish it. No, yeah, I can finish that, yes. Because he's supposed to click finish on it, right? Michael?
Yep. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, for future reference, I can click finish on it.
yeah, but how do I revert this now? Okay, yeah, so...
You change the state.
Yeah, to
It
start
says
it.
accept it if you just change it to start it.
Yeah, so you click on that if you know.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're happy with it. So what basically what you need to do now is per se just do a code review. Okay, so Thomas has submitted 3 pull requests. There are 8 files changed. Let's have a look. Okay, so he did something to the gitignore file, something to another file that he missed. Damn.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad. Okay, hold on a second. This is interesting because
Yeah.
I'm going to remove this in a very nice way here before you do any merge. Don't merge this yet. You see, what I did, and I thought I fixed this, I added idea and everything in idea folder to the gitignore file, right? So I just assumed that this data sources XML wouldn't, follow my commits. So, but what I will do, of course, is just to add this now, specifically. Okay, so perhaps it needs to be like this. All right. Okay. Or, I don't know. Let's try that. No, let's start this. So, and, okay, so, so now if I do this, like git status, yes, git commit am updated gitignore main, and we do git push origin. Should this now disappear for me? Or not? No, it doesn't. Why not? I thought it would. Oh, that's bad. Bad, Thomas, bad. Okay, so let's remove this because this can be recreated. I'm sorry about this. I could stash those commits, but let's keep this open to the public to see that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And clean up my own mess. Yes. Well, now it should be gone, for God's sake. Please, be gone. It's gone. Yes.
All right.
I like that. Okay, yeah, so basically, apart from being forced to look when I make a fool of myself, you also learn something because, this, when somebody creates a pull request and you do a code review of this pull request, then if that developer makes commits to his own repository, that pull request is automatically updated. Do you understand? So
right.
when I made those last commits, updated the git ignore again and clean up my own mess, then this it's not only pushed to my own repository, but this automatically updates this one, and in that way, this pull request is kept clean. Otherwise, I would have been forced to close this one, make pull requests and open a new one, and that's a lot of work. So this is a great feature that GitHub updates those pull requests. So yeah, so this looks better now at least. Okay. Cool.
All right. So then I will. I guess I'll go merge that now.
Yeah, if you feel confident in with this, I say you should. And thanks to Michael, next time anybody scaffolds, use the generator to create a new model, there will be automatically create specs created for that, spec files. But then of course you have to fill it with your own code. But that will be auto-generated, and it's a good thing.
All right.
And since we're running on 2.9.9, as I said before, you'll be given deprecation warnings about what's going to change for RSpec 3.
Perfect.
And before we go, because I need to wrap this up soon.
Sure. Yeah.
I think, yes, this gem is a great addition to RSpec, because it gives you a lot of methods to test your models much easier than you would have. You can do so much more with this, or actually you do less. You write much less code with using this gem than you would have if you didn't have that and test the same things. So these are some set of matchers that will come in handy. I use that in both local in Website 1 and in my projects at work. So check this. Have a look at that. And with this with these methods, you can even if you don't have many methods in your models yet, it's too much logic. As soon as you have any associations or anything, you can just start writing those specs, and so these matchers are good for driving your development in a TDD way, I think. So check it out. It's a very good thing. Michael, have you worked with this gem? Something?
No, I haven't.
But it's a good thing. And there's a lot of documentation about this too, so you'll find many examples of how these matchers are used. So yeah. Okay. All right. I hope it was kind of productive, at least today.
No, it was definitely helpful. I have a lot of work to do now, so.
Okay. Any last words? David, do you want to say something before we go?
Well, while we were all dealing with all this stuff, I put together a baseline for the landing page and changed the navbar to have the little picture at the top left link to that landing page. Nothing difficult at all, but it's something. I also made a new pull request on GitHub for you to look at.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for today, and yeah, have a great holiday. And whenever you do some sessions, yeah, post on Slack, and I'll try to join whenever I can. Okay.
All right.
I gotta go. Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys. So long. Take it easy.